So Drake thought that nobody was pushing their limits, that there was a drought of creativity in hip hop, and that he'd take up the mantle and do it himself.
Boy, ain't no way, boy.
Only to step into an epic fail. Can't make this up, man. Anyway, Drake did a interview with Complex. I don't know if this is the interview that Academics was talking about when he had said he had, I guess, brokered an interview with somebody that nobody would expect. Could be, could be. And honestly, to me, I know Jay Nolan did a whole breakdown on this, so y'all can check that out. I'm just going to react to a video about Avil and go over a few points on it. But honestly, it seems like somebody who's just crying because people couldn't understand what he was trying to do. So now he out here explaining himself. Yeah, pretty much. But let's get started.
You know the rollout is so bad when you have to explain the rollout for everybody else. This is insane, man, because we know that when this came out, all of the fans that stick with Drake through thick and thin, they realized that this wasn't what they wanted. They were very disappointed in this rollout. And Drake is so bothered by it, he has to explain the rollout himself through this Complex interview. But not only explain the rollout, but also throw subliminals within the interview. And that's what we're really going to focus on today.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that this is the topic for discussion in, I would say, a major interview, right? Even if it is only on paper, so to speak, since everything happened. Now, I wouldn't expect him to come out and outright talk about the battle and the lawsuit and things like that, but hell, people were saying it about Kendrick, right? When he did his couple interviews and all of that, and well, why wasn't he talking about this and his meaning for Not Like Us? And they critiqued everything, right? But you know, they was like, yeah, they want to hear him talk about it, and he really didn't go too much into it. But I don't know if how much this interview and this whole live streaming thing is what people really wanted to hear. But I guess he's still in litigation, so I guess he wouldn't talk about that aspect of things.
Because this is just ridiculous at this point. Do you really think that you explaining the rollout is going to make it any better or make people feel like they should go back and watch it? Kai Cenat said that this performance was lackluster, to say the least, as well as the fans that are always sticking their neck out for you. There is
hey, that right there hurt Drake feelings, bro. After that, it was a wrap, honestly. After that, it was pretty much a wrap. We ain't heard much about the Iceman since, except from fans, and then this right here. Whether or not he gonna continue on down this line, we'll see. But this right here, I think this right here was the straw that broke the camel's back. He had already been getting some dissent. Most of the louder voices was from people you probably wouldn't consider fans per se, but his fans started to give some pushback on a lot of the things, or just at least expressing some disappointment, right? But this right here, yeah, this is what did it.
No way that you coming out here to explain it is going to do any better. And we're going to get to this part of the article, right? This is where he starts to explain why he did the YouTube format, why he decided to do live streams, and what he said in the middle of this. Reading between the lines here, he says, so when it came to the rollout of his 9th studio album, Iceman, he wanted to try something new, a series of theatrical live streams on YouTube where he could debut new singles and build up a storyline around the project before it drops. I have been trying to act. I have been trying for a challenge, he says. The game is extremely calm seas right now. Nobody is rocking any boat on the water. And so once we discussed the live stream rollout, it just sounded like the perfect mix of risk and reward for me. Well, if Drake is a gambling guy and you're going for high risk, high reward, you definitely lost that bet for sure.
Yeah, he lost. Epic fail, man, on that one. And this little subliminal diss he's sending out to everybody. The game is extremely calm seas right now. Nobody's rocking any boat. You know, I find that ironic that he's saying that. And one of the critiques about what he's doing with the whole Iceman thing is that he's trying to be like Kendrick. And so you got Kendrick, who did what he did the Super Bowl, who's actually taking hip hop to another level as far as rappers go, real rappers, right? Hugely successful album with GNX, might end up pushing him over the top when it comes to most decorated artists, especially when it comes to Grammy Awards and things like that. And to say that it's extremely calm seas right now. Nobody's rocking the boat. I just don't agree with that, for one. And for two, again, it's ironic that the way you claim to be the one that's rocking the boat is taking a page out of the guy's book who kicked your ass in a rap battle and made you sue. And this ain't just me saying this. A lot of people were saying this, right? Oh, he's trying to be artsy. He's trying to be like Kendrick. And a lot of people been saying, just stick to what you do. This ain't your lane. And so, yeah, I feel like this shot is really, it doesn't make much sense for him to be saying that, you know?
The Drake curse still continues to live on within this one, because there was no way anybody was rocking with this. Like I said, his own fans were disappointed. And I think it goes back to the imagery that he was using, the subliminals that he was using. I mean, let's just be real, bro. Let's just be real for a second. Imagery, subliminals, cryptic messaging, that's not Drake's style. He was getting upset because he was tired of the photo cover.
Yeah, right. And that's why I said it's funny that he would say nobody's pushing the boat. And again, he's trying to take a page out of the book. He must have read that How to Be More Like Kendrick Lamar book of his rival, and it failed, as it should, because that's not who he is. It's not who he is.
Photo cover, magazine, silly interview, and then dropping the album. But let's just be real for a second. You've never been the type of artist that would present something cryptic that people would have to decipher and break down. That has never been your lane. And it's harder to do that in a live stream where you have to entertain people for minutes and hours in advance. You would go live for an hour, 2 hours, 45 minutes. And what would happen? Absolutely nothing. People would have to wait, and feel the patience dragging and dragging and dragging, and nothing would ever happen. Another thing that was a problem with what he said in this article right here is that he says that the game is extremely calm, and and that nobody is rocking the boat.
Right.
Rocking the boat.
Exactly.
Did you forget who rocked you? Did you forget who beat you in the battle? Because Kendrick Lamar is the person that has been taking the whole world by storm.
Yeah, and to go back to the Super Bowl, what about the innovative way that he did that show? He did that in a way that no one ever done it before. That was high risk, high reward, was it not? But that's who he is. So he took a huge risk, initially received a lot of backlash. There's still going to be people that say they didn't like it. Fine. However, the facts are the facts. Highest viewed, critically acclaimed. There's been a lot of people who came out and said, man, this was like great. The cinematography, everything, the way that it was put together. And he didn't focus. His focus wasn't just on people sitting there. And in fact, for them, the experience probably wasn't as good. His focus was on the viewer, and he brought them into the performance in a way no one had ever done. So this statement is asinine. Makes no fucking sense. And he's trying to make it like he's the one pushing the envelope, when in fact he's been regressing. And Kendrick is the one pushing the envelope. And look where it's gotten him to this point, selling out stadiums.
So if you're talking about rocking the seas, you got to talk about Kendrick Lamar. It's also the reason why I think you're doing what you're doing. This is the reason why I think he was doing these whole cryptic messages in his videos in the first place. This is more Kendrick's style. This is more Kendrick's lane. It actually reminds me of GNX when Kendrick was describing how to be like Kendrick for dummies in the.
It's funny. I said the same thing about the book. I didn't even see this far into his video. Drake definitely was up in that book.
Swabble Up music video when he's reading the book. And the title says that. It makes me feel like Drake took a page right out of the book and he's trying to copy what Kendrick is known for. And then you're saying that nobody is making noise, nobody is rocking the seas. You got to be kidding me, man. I think this is just you trying to take a shot while trying to be humble about your work. There is no way that somebody is reading this and thinking that you're not talking about anybody in particular or trying to shade anybody in particular. However, this is completely false, because Kendrick just broke the record for most gross sales in a tour, stadiums, all that. Check the paperwork. It's right there. But it doesn't stop here. He continues to say things. He continues to talk about certain things that happen in the live stream. One thing that I will say that he said was funny, and I thought funny as well, was when a fan had approached him. Drake was mostly showered with words of adoration from his hometown of fans, but there was one attention seeker who shouted out, "You're a B." From the street. Drake responded with some banter, firing back, "So what's up then, big dog? Don't look away now." Don't look away now. We all know the clip that they're talking about. He says that he brings the moment up when I ask about the funniest thing that happened on stream so far, responding probably when this random tall white guy said that I was a B word when I was driving, and then I just literally turned up midstream. I wouldn't even say I broke character because that's some Iceman-ish. I guess you can't just page me while I'm driving around spreading good vibrations, he adds with an LOL. He started moving quick after that, no more talking. What's funny that he says that he started moving quick because nobody had saw that. After he got approached during that situation, nothing happened. The live stream actually cut off and nothing happened.
Look, man, it was poorly executed. The whole streaming thing was. I think the premise and the idea is not a bad one. It wasn't a bad one. It's just poorly executed. I know in this article they talked about some of the challenges they faced and being on tour and all of that. I get all of that, but the execution itself was poor. There was things that they could have done to that would have been more engaging for the audience. Just it wasn't good, man. And I know they wanted the song to go #1, and they thought that maybe because it was dropped on a Thursday instead of Friday, or vice versa. I can't remember, but that may have had something to do with it. But it didn't. It didn't, man. It didn't. Most of the music wasn't hit, and that's just a fact.
After that, so it's funny how he's saying that the guy ran away when there's no video of the guy running away. They didn't even show a video of the guy talking smack. You only hear him from the distance. So him trying to act like he pressed this guy or confronted this guy is completely ridiculous. He was driving a truck mid-traffic. There was no way that he was going to get out and try to talk down on this guy at all. But I just thought that was funny to point out. Another thing that I saw here that was real interesting was this other persona that he was trying to put on during his whole establishment of Iceman. I talked about it in a recent theory. He was comparing himself to Iceman, the infamous mobster who was known for all of his evil deeds. He says that I watch a lot of documentaries, a lot of them having to do with true crime, Criminal Minds, all that type of stuff. I watch those type of documentaries a lot. And as you get invested, you start to try to solve things before you even know where it's headed or where the answers are. Drake says it's like this sleuth energy. What did I learn? What did I miss? No pun intended. He says, laughing. But yeah, it's crazy to see people make 3 to 2 to 4 hour videos on their thoughts and building conspiracies. It's interactive content, and that adds such desirable element, more so than a music video with cars and things. Not that those aren't lovely sometimes also. Seems like he's just copying me at this point. I'm just playing, bro.
Yeah, man. It seemed like he's way out of his element. That's what it seemed like. You had a format that worked for 15 years. Why depart? Especially into an area that you have no familiarity with, besides the acting part. I get the acting part, but again, those were scripts and screenplays and things like that written and done by someone else. You just inserted yourself and use your acting skill. That's it. That doesn't mean that you can, and the people he got to come up with these concepts or to even, again, execute them, they just didn't seem that talented or that creative. Let's just say creative. And trying, because you would think the main issue that they face and that you would want to address is engagement. They had those long fucking moments of really nothing going on but him walking, and you're just watching like, all right, what's happening here? And you would think somebody would have sat back and said, hey man, this is just too much empty space. How can we fill this? How can we get people excited? How can we get them involved? How can we get them engaged? Anything. All I'm saying is he outside of his element, and it showed, and it didn't go well, period. And the fact that he got to come on here and try to explain it, I don't mind him answering questions about it, but all of this and the way and the angle that he's taken, like he came in to fill a void where there is no void. There's no void. There's no lack of creativity in hip hop. I'm tired of people saying this. Hip hop did. My first question to you is, what makes hip hop did? First of all, we got 3 artists / groups who are up for Grammy nominations. We got album after album to drop. That's my first question to answer. Secondly, what are we basing this on? What are we basing this on? No, there was no void. There was no lack of creativity. There was no lack of even pushing the envelope. Maybe by certain artists, but overall, people at the top have been pushing the envelope. So I'm not trying to hear that shit.
Keep it a legend, but yeah, it does seem like this is adding on to the Iceman theory, where he's trying to compare himself to the Iceman mobster from back in the day that was charged for all these heinous crimes. Another thing that people were pointing out in this interview was what he had talked about on a separate sheet right here. He says right here, I think I am always capable of recognizing when things are shifting and not being weirdly affected by it, not being jealous, not being thirsty, just finding out how I shine light or coexist or make it a part of our ecosystem. He says, with this, I just would study IRL streams versus the stagnant bedroom cam streams. And I feel like IRL just had so much unpredictable energy and movement. And we just started asking crazy questions like, how high can the quality get? How many cameras can we get to go live at once? 12, 13, 14? Can we get a drone shot to go live? We just started getting unhinged with the request because we wanted to push it as far as possible. And the interesting part is him saying that he's not being jealous, knowing that there's a shift in the industry, knowing that there is a shift. And you think about it, right? What shift are you talking about? The shift in music, the shift in popularity. Is your popularity going down and is Kendrick Lamar's going up? And then you have to back it up after saying this by saying that you're not jealous, not trying to be thirsty, but also trying to get the most well-established live stream to make this go successful and then still flop. Seems to me that you're trying to keep up with the times, trying to be something that you're not, because honestly, bro, Drake is not known for this type of stuff, right? A lot of his fans were mad about it because he is not known for this type of stuff. So for the fact that you try to put on this persona, like you're not jealous of anything, that you're not upset about anything, and that you're trying to be unbothered is completely obvious.
No, and the statement itself is kind of tone deaf and way disingenuous because he's talking about recognizing things that are shifting and not being weirdly affected by it. I would say in the past he was able to recognize that, especially shifts in what type of music people was listening to, because he was really adept at colonizing those sounds, building relationships with people so that he can benefit off of those changes, right? But being jealous, being thirsty, finding how I can shine light or coexist and make it part of our ecosystem, that's just bullshit for colonizing shit. Like how I can colonize shit, how I can get people to send me, how I can get reference tracks and ghostwriters and shit like that. That's how I read it. That's how I read it. You might read it differently. I don't think the IRL angle is a bad idea. I just again think that was poorly executed. But yeah, if he was good, he might be good at recognizing shifts in music and sound and things like that. But without the people who was really making him who he was, I don't think it's him being good at it. He had a team that was good at it, because if he was, why hasn't he done it yet? Y'all keep saying all this shit about, him being the greatest him. Why hasn't he done it yet? Why hasn't he done it yet? We almost, man, maybe he'll surprise us all. He still got another month, a little over a month in this year, and come out with something to change the game. But we passed a year. We're going into a year and a half-ish since he really, really dropped something that moved anything. Right, 2 years or more. I can't remember, but it's been a while. It's been a while. And I wouldn't even say to change the game, because he ain't dropped nothing to change the game in forever. Really, in forever. So, yeah, no, man.
That this is just a front. There is no way that anybody would believe that you don't feel affected by any of this. It doesn't make sense how they're asking you how you decided to stream and how you wanted people to coexist in your world. And then you start off by saying that you're capable to realize that things are shifting, not being specific on what is shifting. If you're talking about the way that media is, I really don't think this is the case. I think you're really talking about how things have shifted for you when it comes to popularity, public opinion, the way that you're grasping people's attention, the way that people are looking at you now, seeing others be successful, other people being in the limelight, and trying to say that you're not jealous, trying to say that you're not thirsty, makes me feel like this is your way of trying to say that you're unbothered. Again, I don't think that you're trying to talk about the cameras or the streaming situation. I think you're talking about how you are realizing there's a shift with the way that the audience is looking at you and the way that the people are catering to you.
Another reason why he's lost is because he can't really appropriate Kendrick's sound, right? That definitely won't work. Can't appropriate clip sound. He has no one that he can befriend, that he can steal their sound. I mean, just think about it, y'all. Think about it. He talking all this shit like there's this void and this and that. When Kendrick is at the top, Clips is at the top, Tyler, and there's been a bunch of albums that's been dropped that even if they're not at the top, they up there. You know what I'm saying? There's a plethora of good music out there, but none of those are sounds or people he can go to and work with and like take that sound. And so, and it definitely ain't like, you know, when the South was really exploding and groups like Migos was coming out and things like that. I mean, there's really nothing like that going on right now where he could definitely just slide in on a new artist who's popping. Yeah. So in that sense, I think he's probably right, because there ain't nobody that he can just, oh, that's a new up and coming artist. Like they popping right now, and they sound good. Let's go over there and see if we can't, you know, come in with the Drake name. Hey man, Drake want to collab with you. And he used his name and his weight because they got something he want. Ain't nothing like that really going on right now as far as a hot new up and coming rapper with a hot new sound, or anybody that would collab with him on that level, that he can take that flow or take that sound. It just don't seem like it's out there. And I could be wrong. Y'all can let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but that's what it seemed like. And so I think this shows and highlights even more his lack of talent and creativity when it comes to that. The fact that he can't find himself, his own sound. He's talking this shit again. Okay, well, why don't you really innovate something? You didn't innovate nothing. You didn't push no envelope. Again, we can go back to Kendrick Super Bowl. He pushed the envelope. He experimented with another sound on GNX, the album. And there were songs people like and there's songs that they don't like. But overall, it was a success. And he didn't need 30 songs, 25 songs to do it. You know what I'm saying? That right there is what he's really talking about, but that he himself can't do. That's a huge difference, man. It's a huge difference. But again, they want to say he's the best artist. He's the best. No, he's fucking not. How come he can't do this on his own? Kendrick's doing this shit on his own. Clips is doing this shit on their own. Right? Tyler, whoever, Jid, all these artists are doing it, even if they're not being nominated for Grammy, they're doing this on their own, and their fans are loving it. Right now, he's lost, man, because he's not that creative, bro. He's not. And this is being highlighted, and they try everything they can to cover that. And his fans is making all this noise to take away from this very fact right here. You feel me?
To be honest, I thought that after the situations that happened with his album getting leaked and all these other things about Iceman getting treated after episode 3, that he wasn't going to put it out. He was supposed to drop it in the summer. We're already going into the next year. We're almost 2 months from January, and we still haven't gotten the album. I don't think we will get the album. If we don't get it in December and we end up getting it in January, to be honest, it's already lost a lot of momentum. I don't think you doing an interview with Complex is going to benefit you at all. I don't think that this is going to help you one bit. Unfortunately, I feel like this is a situation where you put yourself in a predicament where you have to try to see yourself get out of. If people weren't rocking with it, let me explain it. You already messed up being cryptic and then trying to explain the mystery. That's not what it's about. You're supposed to let your fans do it. But you know you messed up because your fans aren't able to do that. You know what I mean? And the ones that are able to do it were upset because they were let down. Because you promised something greater, you promised something better, not just staring at the screen all day, hearing some elevator music, waiting for something to happen. Anyways, this is just my take on it for the time being.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much it on that, y'all. And I'm gonna leave that at that. Like I said, there's a whole lot more in the article, and I know Jay Nolan did a full breakdown. If y'all want to check his out, I know a lot of y'all rock with him, and it was a good one. I ain't going through the whole thing. Right here is the gist of it. And it's just a bunch of bullshit, honestly. It's just a bunch of bullshit. The guy tried to be like Kendrick, and it didn't work because that's not who he is. Period, point blank. Period, point blank. There's nobody out right now that he can go to, try to use his name to team up with, and use that wave to become something. And it shows, and it just highlights his own really lack of talent and creativity right now. I'm not saying he's always lacked it, But right now, and because he's probably lacking as far as his team goes and the right people, it just shows that he doesn't have the ability. Right now, I could be wrong, and he could still pop out with something crazy. All right, and if so, I'll come back on him like, all right, this was nice. But right now, man, we've been doing this shit for a minute now, y'all. Where's it at? Where's it at? Y'all so-called greatest, y'all champion and shit. Where's it at? Where is it? Y'all complaining about Kendrick winning too much, nigga. He ain't doing shit. Drake ain't doing shit. According to y'all, he should be the one people complaining about winning too much. But it ain't any. It ain't any, man. And this just highlights that. It's not any. Ain't no lack of creativity out there. Ain't no lack of pushing the envelope. That shit been done. Kendrick took one of the biggest risk reward chances with that Super Bowl. He took a risk reward chance with coming out with GNX, right? Tyler took a risk reward. Clips, risk reward, right? Will people be receptive to older rappers who really stuck to the roots, right? They wasn't trying to be nobody else. And that's the main, that's the through line when it comes to these artists. They're not trying to be somebody else. They're not trying to sound like anybody else, any one region. They have their own sounds. Everything emanates from them. But with him, that's not the case. So here we are. Anyway, man, y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section below. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.